Hello and welcome back to the Reapers. So we're in our AV-8B Harrier today and we're going to look at taxiing. Now it's a little more complicated than some of the other aircraft, so we're going to go through it step by step. First of all, as usual, let's look at the controls. We've got our wheel brake that we'll use to apply the wheel brakes. We've got parking brake on, parking brake off, flaps up and down. We've got an axis for our nozzle. Well, I'll assume you've already got all the basic controls set up regards non-taxiing. We've also got this button here for nose wheel steering engage. Okay. So the first thing is that we're probably, if we just come from a cold start, we're probably going to have our parking brake on. Parking brake in the Harrier means that we can't apply any throttle. So if I put my throttle forward like that, we get no power at all. Take it off with the button that we showed earlier, and we can now put the thrust stick forwards and backwards. There we go. Next, we want to set our flaps to auto, so one click down with the left click. I've always been told to taxi with auto. Next, we want to set our nozzle position with our nozzle axis to 50 degrees. That's what I've always been told. So there is our nozzle position there, so 50 or as near as, and we've got our analog gauges there to check it. Next, we want to ensure that our nose wheel steering is engaged. Without that, we can't steer, or only steer with the rudder, which isn't much use for taxiing. So if, bear in mind that we are on V-stall mode at the moment, if we had our nose wheel steering engaged, it would say NWS there. It currently doesn't, so it's cast instead, which is no use for us. So we're going to go down here, left click once to nose wheel steering. Now it says nose wheel steering. We can now steer with the rudder axis left and right. Note as well, if we press that nose wheel steering button that we saw earlier, then we get nose wheel steering high. That's high gain. That allows you to steer extra tight. So let's go and show that. So thrust stick forward. So basic nose wheel steering, if we use the rudder axis left and right, gives us a pretty decent gain of steering anyway. Now if we were to keep our finger on the nose wheel steering button, we've got nose wheel steering high. This gives us extra gain where we can turn extra tight like so. Nose wheel steering high is usually only used on a carrier where space is really tight. Now speed you have to be really careful with in the Harrier. It's obviously got odd landing gear and it's very easy to flip over. So I'll say a maximum speed of 30 knots while on a straight, and a maximum speed of 15 knots while turning on nose wheel steering, and a maximum of 10 knots, maybe even slightly less, kind of walking speed basically, when you're on nose wheel steering high. Because if I were to pull a nose wheel steering high, right turn like that, you can see I almost tipped over. In fact, I did. So that just shows how careful you've got to be when taxiing the Harrier around. So that's about it really. I hope that helps, and we'll see you later.